This is Al Claiborne. Today is August 20th, 2025. In 2014, Paul Loeffler, host of the syndicated Hometown Heroes radio program, interviewed World War II veteran Nyle Smith, shown in this photograph from 2014. During the night of April 11 and 12, 1944, then Corporal Smith was aboard the B-17 Pathfinder, serial number 42-97556, on the short flight to Framlingham Airfield, Suffolk. When the bomber was shot down by an enemy intruder and crashed not far from the field, Corporal Smith survived to tell his story 70 years later. With Paul's permission, the original 2014 audio interview has been edited and combined with a number of photos that illustrate Mr. Smith's in-person account.
Welcome back to Hometown Heroes. Our guest today is 91-year-old Nyle Smith, a veteran of both World War II and the Vietnam War, retiring after more than 22 years in the Air Force. He grew up on a farm near LaPlace, Illinois, about 20 miles east of Decatur. For nearly 40 years now, he's called Fresno, California home. But it's pretty remarkable that he survived one treacherous night more than 70 years ago. The photos we've posted on HometownHeroesRadio.com and the Hometown Heroes Facebook page will help illustrate why I say that. But before we get into that fateful night, one more question about his work as a mechanic on B-17s at that base in Snetterton, England, home to the 96th Bomb Group during World War II. Nyle, you talked about having to fix those planes after they came in so heavily damaged. Sometimes you couldn't even believe they'd made it back. And I know there were also times they didn't make it back. What would that do to you emotionally when you and the rest of your ground crew realized that one of those 10-man crews was not coming back? Their plane had been shot down.
Oh, yeah. Well, you thought about it and everything like that, but you didn't really have time to grieve or anything else because here you got a new crew and you got to keep them going, you know. So you just keep on doing your job.
And how often did your job mean actually going in an airplane and flying with these guys?
We weren't part of the air crew, but I did go on a couple of missions just to see how they were. You know how young guys are. One was a food mission when they dropped, moved to the Dutch, and the other was an actual mission. But we made it back. I mean, I don't know why I did that. When I think about that now, I was stupid, you know, when I didn't have to go.
Where were you during the mission? What part of the plane did
I was back in the waist.
Uh-huh.
Back in the waist where the waist gunners are, yeah.
Did you see some exciting action?
Oh, yeah. You see them out there just like in Memphis Belle, you know, or same kind of deal. And you see things happening. I mean, planes going down and everything else, yeah.
And in April of 1944 came an incident that I don't see how you couldn't say it changed your life. It's the reason you have the Purple Heart. It's the reason you have that soldier's medal I mentioned, and I'll read the citation about that in a little bit. But tell me how that all came to be, because you weren't initially supposed to be on that plane, right?
No, it was another crew, and I don't know what the other ground man on the other crew, what reason he couldn't go for some reason, and he asked for somebody to volunteer, so I volunteered.
Don't you know you're never supposed to volunteer in the service?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
That's what everybody tells me anyway.
But
what do you think possessed you to volunteer?
Well, I knew this other guy pretty well. He's kind of a buddy, you know, and just doing it for him.
And what were you supposed to do?
Well, the two ground men went with the plane the night before. See, our squadron was all what they call Pathfinders. They took the ball turret out of the bottom and put a radar dome in there, and then they led other missions because they could bomb through the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to furnish planes to other groups to lead the other groups. And two ground men always had to go with the crew and the plane to the other base, and then we'd see the plane off the next morning.
So they needed you there because you knew these specific custom planes with the radar domes, and then you would have to check them out and make sure they were flight worthy before that other group would take it up?
As far as the plane, yeah.
Uh-huh, okay.
Yeah, see the plane off.
Yep.
And then we'd get a ride back to our base somehow.
So how long of a journey was this from your base to this other base?
Oh, about 30, 40 minutes.
30, 40 minutes, nighttime?
Yeah, nighttime.
No big deal.
It's close to midnight. It's right at midnight.
And did you know the Germans had night fighters?
Oh, yeah. We used to go outside, at nighttime, watch the searchlights, and I know this one night, here's a whole bunch of searchlights that had, they were on this one plane, and all at once the lights went out, and then right behind where that plane was, here's a bunch of tracer bullets. So they set up for a British fighter to get on. Yeah, every night we'd see that, every night.
So you knew there was a chance this could be, even though it's a short flight, that this could be dangerous.
Yeah, but we never really thought about it, just going to the other base. That was up at low altitude,
Mm-hmm.
But this other base was right on the coast, and this German, he must have been out there off the coast waiting for somebody to come around on the pattern, and then he followed us around.
Yeah, so tell me how you experienced it.
Okay, we was on the final approach, and then under the pilot, he'd turn on the landing lights, put the flaps down, and we were slowing down, and we were maybe, a couple hundred feet off the ground. And all at once I hear firing. I hear bullets, And I thought the British were shooting at us from the ground with anti-aircraft fire, that maybe a little instrument they call the indicator friend or foe wasn't working. And then I looked out the side window and I saw the tracers going by. Every fifth bullet is a tracer. And I knew what it was then. I said, oh, God, and I burrowed. There was a bunch of baggage back there in the waist. I was in the waist. I burrowed my way down to the bottom of that, and that's probably what saved me.
So you knew as soon as you saw those tracers that you guys were going to get hit and this wasn't going to be a smooth landing.
Right. I knew we were going down, yeah.
Wow.
And the man beside me, the bombardier, he was back there asleep. Missing just to another base in England, saying he stood up, what's going on? And then a bullet hit him, saying, I got a little piece of it, but...
Where'd it get you?
In the hip. A piece of it got me in the hip. I knew I was hit, because I could feel it. I could feel the blood going down my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get shot with a bullet, it doesn't hurt. It's hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot. That piece of metal is hot.
I want to get... And I know you're going to give us a great description of this, but I'm just thinking everybody listening has never been in this circumstance. Maybe we have a few veterans who got shot down, but even that's a little different. You're coming in for a landing, not expecting this, and all of a sudden this chaotic scene ensues. So was this something that it felt like slow motion?
Yeah.
Did you have things come to mind that you didn't expect to come to mind? What was that like for you?
Well, you've heard that when you're... Well, I thought this was it, see. You're facing death. I think, tell yourself this is it. And your whole life flashes in front of you. You've heard that. That happens.
Literally.
It happens because things came to my mind that when I was a little kid that I hadn't even thought about. And then the crash, but it happened.
And were there other people trying to duck for cover, screaming? Did they not have time? Did you hear anything on the intercom?
No, there was nothing on the intercom. There wasn't a sound in that plane. Everybody knew what was going to happen. Of course, it was dark. I couldn't see what the people up front were doing or anything else. There wasn't time to really do anything because we hit this row of trees, and all I remember is hitting the ground and this crash or sliding or whatever, and for several minutes, I guess, and then everything stopped, And I was still alive.
So you're conscious this whole time?
Oh, yeah. Well, I might have been knocked out for maybe an instant or so. When everything stopped, I looked around for the back door, and it wasn't there. No back door.
And before it stopped, are you bracing? You clenching your teeth? You saying a prayer? What are you doing?
Just waiting. I was just waiting for, what was going to happen, or wondering what's going to happen.
And you've believed for 70 years that the plane just slid along the ground, and I just showed you an eyewitness account that I found on the internet where people say the plane actually cartwheeled, went end over end. With what you remember, does it seem like maybe that could have happened?
I wasn't aware of that, but it might have happened.
Because you can't see anything.
No,
you're just feeling
it
chaos,
was dark,
right?
Right, and the plane broke in two.
Mm-hmm.
So that could very well have happened. That was news to me.
So when the plane stops, you look for the back door, it's not there.
That's right.
What happens next?
I turned around and it broken in two, so I crawled out through a bunch of wreckage, the part that was open where it broke in two. I got outside, back of the tail, and here's the other ground man, this Sergeant Matthews. He was laying there moaning and groaning. He was talking about some girl down in London, I think. And I didn't know that. I heard later that he had a broken back. I don't know if he did or not. But I saw all the flesh from his thumb. His thumb was clear back against his wrist.
Mm.
So I took hold of his parachute harness, and I dragged him. And he's a lot bigger, was bigger than me. I dragged him maybe 150 feet, got behind the brick wall, and then I went back to the plane. There was 2 or 3 other guys there, and we got.
And the plane's burning at this point?
Oh yeah, it was burning more all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew it was going to blow up. I knew that because I'd seen him blow up.
Sure. So you grabbed some more guys.
Yeah, we got the pilot out. The pilot was clear back in the waist. The co-pilot, he said he went through the top, and when he came to, he had a bump on his head, and he was hanging in a tree, still strapped in his seat.
Talk about a sight you don't expect to see.
Yeah, the engineer on the plane, he was trapped down in the wreckage someplace, and he had to take his pants off to get out. He had a finger cut off. He got out. The radio man, we never did find him. We couldn't find him. Of course, the bombardier was shot, and the navigator, we found him, or he said he was in the wheel well behind number 2 engine, up in there somewhere. But we got everybody out, and we got him behind this brick wall, and this maybe took, 15, 20 minutes or so. And, of course, the plane's burning more all the time, and we were just waiting to see there wasn't anything else we could do. And all at once that thing exploded, and we had 1,700 gallons of octane fuel.
Yeah, because this was a short flight, but a fully loaded plane fuel-wise.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We had four 500-pound bombs on it, 2 smoke bombs for the radar part of it the next day, and about 20,000 rounds of 50 caliber ammunition on there. And of course, when it blew up, everything went up in the air, everything, maybe 100 feet, 150 feet, and the gasoline was burning, and it arched over, and I thought it was going to fall on us, and I got up and started to run again, but it burned out before it got to the ground. So it must have been half an hour. Of course, this was off the edge of the base. See, we didn't make the runway. About a half an hour, here come an officer from the tower in a Jeep. He was in a Jeep. And the first thing he asked, he said, "Where's the parachute harnesses?" Because the gunners or the flight crew, they carried a little medical kit strapped to their parachute harness. It had morphine and everything in it. So he started giving morphine to the people that were injured, and I never even thought about that, but then it must have been, another hour or so before any ambulances ever got out there. And 3 or 4 ambulances come out, and they took us into, wasn't a hospital, it was just a dispensary, and they didn't do anything to us that night. I guess they looked us over and everything and washed your face and hands and stuff like that. And I'd lost my favorite cap. But anyway,
Burned up in the plane?
I don't know what happened to it. It came off somewhere.
And when you said you never found the navigator, is your guess that his body was burned in that explosion and fire?
No, the radio operator.
Oh, I mean the radio operator.
Yeah.
You think
he was down in the wreckage someplace.
Yeah.
We couldn't find him.
But so then when the explosion happened, it
he'd go up. And the next day they took us up to a general hospital, and I was there 2 weeks and went back to base.
How much pain were you in?
I wasn't in any pain then. I was bruised and everything all over, and I still got a little piece of that bullet back there in my hip yet. I didn't know that was there until a few years ago when I had an X-ray from my back. The doctor says, "Hey, you got a piece of metal in your hip back there." I didn't know that.
It's been there a while.
Yeah. Anyway, the pilot called me, had me come up to where he was in the hospital there, and he thanked me for saving his life. because he'd come through back from the cockpit, back through the bomb bay, through the radio room, and he was back in the waist, and we took him out. Yeah. He said that was his first night landing in a B-17.
Wow.
And get shot down.
And you said 2 weeks later you're back on the base. A lot of those guys were wounded to the point that they got sent home, but you had to keep on serving over there.
Yeah, I had to. I had to stay, and I went down to the base hospital to see the doctor because I thought, well, maybe I can get back to the States. And I started telling him how I was having these bad dreams and everything else about it, and I couldn't do my work, and that kind of stuff. And he looked at me and he said, nothing wrong with you, get back to work. So that didn't work.
Well, maybe it's a good thing, because had you met a special young lady named Phyllis yet?
No, I hadn't met her yet.
Well?
But after I was back to the base, they made me, after a week or so, they made me get in another plane and go up. They said, if you don't, you won't want to fly again. You don't want to get in any airplane. So I did it. And after that, it was all right. It didn't bother me anymore.
So we hear all this now about PTSD. And basically, that was their approach to dealing with your post-traumatic stress and these flashbacks you were having.
Yeah.
Wow. But it worked for you.
Yeah.
Well, we're thankful for that, and I know you're thankful you weren't sent home right then because there were a few more developments that proved to be very important. It's break time, and I'd again like to encourage you to hop on hometownheroesradio.com or the Hometown Heroes Facebook page and look at those photos from the B-17 crash that Nyle Smith survived. I think when you look at those, you're going to be pretty amazed that he did survive. And we'll get the rest of this 91-year-old World War II veteran story when Hometown Heroes comes down the home stretch after this.